Good morning, YouTube. Okay, I want to talk about two separate things today. The first of which is I've had this theory for a while about food. So I went through this complete diet change years ago, and people used to make fun of me because I would say that I was substituting like regular processed sugar for other things. So I would say I would be using honey or coconut sugar or beet sugar. And then they would always say to me, but it's all sugar. They'd always say that. They'd say, it doesn't matter. Your body processes just like it does sugar, blah, blah, you know. They would always be saying this to me, and it drove me insane. I was just like, that just can't be. And part of the reason why I knew it couldn't be was because of how I felt when I ate it, whatever it was. So if I ate M&Ms, I felt differently than if I ate one of my healthier choices of a candy bar, because I tend to be a sweet tooth. I like sweet things. So anyway, in the last week, I have seen two different pieces of evidence that what I am saying is true. That it does have to do with, actually more so, our thoughts about it. Our thoughts about whatever it is that we are getting ready to eat. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I don't know why I think it's so funny. Anyway, so I got this Abraham Hicks quote on my Instagram feed, and it said basically, do not eat anything ever unless you're having downstream thoughts. What they refer to as downstream thoughts is that you're feeling good about whatever you're eating. So never eat anything that you're not feeling good about. And I feel like we do this quite a bit. I'm just going to speak only for myself, but I don't think I'm alone when I say, so sometimes I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry and I have to pop by, so I choose to go to one of the bakeries in town instead of McDonald's for food. So I go to the bakery, I walk in, and there's just this complete assortment of the most amazing pastries you've ever seen. And so one day I picked out this, it was like a cream cheese Danishy thingamabobber, and I ended up enjoying it thoroughly. But I also had, it was sort of this double thing, because I also was feeling very guilty about eating it, because it was like everything that I feel like is bad for me. So you've got like the sugar, the dairy, and the whatever's in the pastry part. But I did enjoy it. But I'm not really sure how our body processes foods that we are not feeling good about. Recently, I have been drinking a little bit more dairy than I normally do. And I don't usually use dairy very much because of how it makes me feel. Like, I don't eat a lot of yogurts unless it's like a coconut milk yogurt, because it just doesn't feel good for me. My body just doesn't like milk. I don't know why. It doesn't like dairy products. And so sometimes I cheat, and my body, I can tell. I can tell in my body by how I feel. So basically, the premise of what I'm saying right now is that our body is processing foods as we think about them, and thinking about it before we eat it, because sometimes I actually do that. It's like, is this worth me feeling bad about eating it? And is it worth it to eat it if I'm going to feel bad about it and my body's going to feel bad? You know, just questions that anyway. And then the second thing is, I had just done recently a YouTube about my desires. And I did two of them, and I've been at this for a while now, where I have been attempting to have two different things coming into my physicality, and they have not yet come into my physicality. And so I've decided to like just completely do a departure and start doing something else, because what I'm doing isn't working. It just seems like it's not working. So what I have been doing is what the theorists are telling me to do. The theorists say, that through meditation or otherwise, we get into a space where we have this visualization of this coming into our proximity, and we feel the feelings of what it would feel like to have that thing come into our physicality, and we sit and we bask in the gratitude that we would feel for having this thing in our physicality, among other things. Because I've been doing this journaling, and I do like all kinds of different things to have this experience. But I really feel like those things are not working, or they're not working to my satisfaction, because these things are not coming into my physicality. And I'm able to, as I had demonstrated in my last YouTube, I am able to have other things come into my physicality more easily. So I'm going to this departure, and so yesterday I'm kind of going back to the beginning. Yesterday I just did what I was doing before, and I had this really, really great kind of meditative hike. And when I was on the meditative hike, I had these residual thoughts, and I kind of want to talk about it for a second, because I feel like I've just talked to death about now I've like lost my train of thought. Hold on. I've talked to death about this thought that people reach a point where they never have any desires anymore, and how that's kind of a bugaboo for me. I'm just like, I don't know, like, how do you and then, so yesterday I was in there, I was thinking like, I don't know, residual thoughts, maybe from my childhood, maybe from society, maybe from church, I don't know, but this thought that somehow I'm spoiled. I'm a brat. I'm bad because I want this thing. I desire this thing. And so it was like really blaring at me yesterday, these underlying unconscious thoughts that we have, I'm thinking it's Freud, but I'm not entirely sure. I cannot tell you exactly that it's Freud, but because I studied psychology and it's been a while since I've hit the books. But anyway, they're talking about like the tip of the iceberg, and then most of what's going on with us is under the surface. And so I did not realize that was under the surface of what's been going on with me, that I have this, and I had stated recently that I don't think it's that I don't feel worthy. It's not that I don't feel worthy. It's that there may be some residual feeling like I'm being like spoiled for even asking. I had recently been talking to a friend about cars. Like, I don't know if y'all have watched like many of my YouTubes, but way like previously, I had done some on cars because I really like cars. I like them a lot. And she was talking about this car that she wanted, and we were both just kind of talking about this, kind of like this somehow, that it's materialistic. It's these like ideas that we have about these things, and this being good and this being bad, and you shouldn't want this. And if you get a great big sum of money, you should be generous with it. You shouldn't want it for yourself. You should want it so that you can be a philanthropist and give all this money away, not because you just want the money. like somehow it's intrinsically bad to have desires. I haven't figured this all out yet. It's just something that I'm like toying with. But I would say, Abraham Hicks would say, I would say that Abraham Hicks would say that life causes us to have desires. Because when we're going through our life, we are seeing what we do want and what we don't want pretty consistently throughout our day. I do want this, I don't want that. I do like this, I don't like that. We're just making these choices all day long. We're not even privy to it. And then Abraham Hicks would say, then we launch this desire for something. A different, an improvement in our life circumstances. I launched the desire for the car of my dreams. and so anyway, I just wanted to talk about both of those things. So I had gotten evidence of my theory of the intentionality behind what we eat, and I've realized that I guess in some ways I feel like a spoiled brat for wanting what I want, and I don't even know what to do with that. Not want to unwant what we want. Like, I don't know. Like, what is wrong with my desires? Like, I'm gonna have to somehow come to peace with that I have wishes that are not yet fulfilled. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll be back.